Hello, old friends. This is Brian, the speaker for the dead, coming to you today with a new video. Now, I'm going to try and get to be where I'm more regular at doing these videos, but there's no guarantee. Just because those of you who know, I'm running my own business and there's a lot of things happening. Right now, I'm in a slow period, mainly because of weather. The weather here in Idaho has not been great this year, which has led to problems for my business and all kinds of stuff. But because of that, I have some extra time. So I thought I would touch base with all of you again and make a video on pop culture. Now, recently, there has been a lot of talk around the anime of One Piece, mainly because they've done a live action version of it. Now, the buzz has been very, very positive about this. I've seen Gary from Nerdrotic talk about it. I've seen a lot of different people talk about it, either in specific videos or just in passing as they're talking about other subjects. So because of the hype, I went and watched the Netflix series of One Piece. Now, I want to preface this by saying I am not a fan of One Piece. I liked it. I made it maybe 3 or 4 seasons in and then lost interest because it's one of those animes that I feel is drawn out, purposely, painfully drawn out. They make fights go on for like 3 or 4 episodes, and they just it's you just feel like it's padding, which I have a real problem with. I do not like stories, movies, TV shows, books, or anything that are full of filler, that is not relevant to the story. One of my examples in a book form of this is for those of you who know the film Willow. You may not know this, but there were 3 books written afterwards with George Lucas and Chris Kleimansworth or something like that. I can't remember. And I read those books. The story was fantastic. Now, if they had done those books instead of what we got from the Willow TV series, it would have been fantastic. Those books were really good, very well written, really interesting storyline. They had the perfect, just like with Star Wars, they had the perfect book map for what they could have done with the series. And what did they do? They didn't do that. They just pretended like those books were never written, kind of like what Star Wars did with the EU. Then they go back and cherry pick what they want. Star Wars, that's another subject for another time. But One Piece is like those books. Those books were very good, but they had a lot of filler in them. They did a lot of they would describe the scenery for like 4 or 5 pages. Seriously, I would sit there and like skip because they were talking about, and the mountains had crevices and I went on and on and I was just like, oh my gosh, get on with it. Because good authors, great authors, J.R.R. Tolkien, and so many others, they can tell you about the scenery to give you enough detail that you fill in the blanks. That you have enough, hopefully you have enough lived experiences that your imagination fills in the rest. They just tell you the generals, and it sets the stage. This Chris Claremont or whatever his name is didn't do that. He really went overboard on the, I'm going to tell you every little detail of what was on the flowers and I feel like One Piece is like that. They drag it out. And so about 4 or 5 seasons in, I lost interest. And that was several years ago. Never went back to it. Never returned to it because I just don't like stuff like that. But I think from what I remember of the original season, I'm going to have to go back and watch the original first season of the anime now to see how well it jibed. As far as the production values, I thought they were very good. I thought the look was really good. I was bothered by the fact that they did a lot of race swapping. They put a lot of I can't think of her name right off the top of my head here. The first captain that you see, the pirate, she's a fat obnoxious chick. Like, and I'm drawing a blank on her name. It's like Angola or something like that. Anyway, and that's not relevant. What is relevant is that they race swap that character. That character in the anime looks absolutely nothing like what they made her look like in the TV show. Okay, 180 degrees. Like, if I remember right, the original one from the anime had like freckles and stuff. And who did they get to play her? A fat Mexican chick is what it looks like to me. And that's not a racial thing, other than the fact that they made it a racial thing. They swapped this person out, and she wasn't even that good. If she'd have been a fantastic actress and really done a great job with that, it wouldn't have mattered to me. But what mattered to me is it felt like a quota was met, and that just irritated me. And there is some of that goes on throughout it. The guy that plays he never gets his name right. Bozo or Buffy Bozo the clown, and Luffy never, Monkey D. Luffy never gets his name right. In the series, he keeps calling him anything. Buggy the clown. He calls him everything but Buggy. He's like Boofy and Binky and the guy that they got to play Luffy did a really good job. Really good job. Although, there again, he in the anime is a very pale character, and he is not a pale character in this, and looks nothing like his grandpa, who's the vice admiral of the Marines, who's chasing him throughout this whole series. I mean, he doesn't, and it's suggested that he's the actual son of the Pirate King, the guy that hid the One Piece, and I can't think of his name either off the top of my head. And if you know this anime, you know who I'm talking about. So, like I said, if I was more of a fan, I would have these names down. But like I said, I'm not. My review is mainly just the fact that they seem to do a good job with following the storyline. The only thing I noticed, and like I said, I need to go back and watch the original season to see if this was also true in the anime, that the fish people, there's this whole underlying thing towards if you haven't seen this series, stop watching, because I'm going to spoil the crap out of it. Well, parts of it. Anyway, what we see here is that there's this whole, fish people were enslaved by human people, and we're going to get up even, and we're going to kill all the shit. And I was like, okay, I don't remember that being from the storyline in the original series, but it may have been. It may have been. Like I said, it's been a long time since I've seen that. And that's not really my point. My point was, like, they seem to dwell on it too much, but they also did something interesting. They made him seem like the lunatic idiot character that is the kind of person who's a hypocrite who doesn't even realize their own hypocrisy. Just like what we see going on in the real world. And I thought that was a great way of actually showcasing that this fish guy took what was done to him and the fish people and was going to destroy everybody who was human and enslave them and stuff like that. Like, somehow that justifies, that's justified. That because somebody did a wrong to you, you're going to go and do the exact same thing back to them, and somehow that's justified. You're all pissed off and mad that happened to you, but now you want to do it to the people that did it to you. Same kind of thing that you see in Babylon 5, where you've got if you're a fan of Babylon 5, you have the same kind of a thing going on between the Centauri and the Narn. The Narn were oppressed and enslaved at one time. They go back to try and destroy and it takes most of that series for Jakar to finally realize you don't right a wrong by becoming evil yourself. And that's something that's lost on the Fishman character. And I thought that was really well portrayed. It's not really showcased quite like it is in Babylon 5, but I thought that was an interesting story, and that it shows just how stupid this political movement is in the world right now to correct an injustice by creating the same injustice and forcing it upon the people that were unjust to you. Which doesn't make you better than them, it makes you just as bad as them. And apparently you didn't learn anything from them enslaving you, because you think it's okay to go back and enslave them now. It's like, that doesn't fix the problem. Anyway, so I thought that was interesting. Mainly what I wanted to talk about this with you guys, the main reason is because I just see this as such a lost opportunity. I'm not a fan of One Piece. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. There a lot of people love it. It's gone on for a very long time. So, I mean, clearly I'm in the minority. But I look at this and I just see what could have been with the same network who brought us Cowboy Bebop, the live adaptation of Cowboy Bebop, and which, in my opinion, is one of the best all-time animes. It is so well written, has such a great story, such great characters, and it is very contained. It is a very self-contained story. There's a beginning, there's an end, you really get to feel what's happening with those characters. And what a lost opportunity for Netflix that they didn't take the same approach that they're taking with One Piece and use that same love and care with Cowboy Bebop. We also know that I think the reason One Piece is as good as it is because the Japanese creator did not allow Netflix to have creative control. He retained all the creative control. So if they were doing crap that he didn't agree with or he didn't like, he was right there seeing the dailies, seeing what was going on, and said, no, you're not doing that. You're going to redo that series, or you're going to redo those scenes because that's crap, and I'm not going to let you do that to my anime. And I think that's great. And that's what the Japanese creators, if you've learned anything, Japanese creators, keep control of your IP. Do not let Hollywood have control, because we see what happens. We get a Cowboy Bebop that isn't Cowboy Bebop. And these Hollywood people who don't get it, they don't get it with anime, they don't get it with cartoons, they don't get it with books, just on anything. They think that when there's a popular IP like whatever, Twilight, whatever it is, whatever IP, they take that IP, the successful thing, book series, anime series, TV series, whatever, when they do whatever they're going to do with it, and they think, well, I don't want to just show them what was already in the other one. Okay, here's a little side note to Hollywood. That's exactly what we want. Not that hard. We want to see you, if it's a book, we want to see it brought to life the way the book did it. If it's an anime, we want to see it brought to life the way the anime did it. If it's a cartoon, Justice League, or comic books or whatever. We don't want to see your interpretation. We don't want to see your adaptation. We want to see you bring those stories to the big screen in real life without rewriting them, changing them, making them look completely different. That's what we want. That's what we want, Hollywood. It's not that hard. It's not really complicated. It's pretty straightforward. We want to see the vision of the original creator brought to life in living color, in all of its glory. Now, see, one of my problems with something like One Piece is that it's really hard there are some things that you can do in cartoons, animation, and whatever, that when you translate it over to real life, something gets lost. It's so much harder to do those kind of effects in real life that you can do easily with animation. Now, One Piece seemed to do a pretty good job. The production values were pretty good. It looks like, pardon me, that they really gave the animators, the digital artists, the CGI people, whatever you want to call them, they really gave them the time and the money and the stuff to actually do this right, to do it right and to make it look good. Now, some of the wire work I thought was kind of like, you should have reshot that, or you should have digitally enhanced that in post to try and make it more streamlined. There was a couple scenes where Zoro or I can't think of the cook's name, where they fly in on the fight scene, and it's just like, all right, that was really obviously. What it reminded me of is Austin Powers when he talks about when it's Fat Bastard, and he's like, oh, I hope my wire team is ready. He does these obviously horribly choreographed wire scenes, and and he's flying, he's flipping it. You can just tell, and it's done to make fun. That whole scene in Austin Powers, I think it's the second one, is done to really, really make fun of wire work, you know, and how it's done in movies sometimes. It's so poorly done. It also reminded me of the Twilight film, which is so bad. The wire work for the ending fight scene is terrible, and it's so obvious. You want to see the right way to do wire work and CGI and everything? Go watch the beginning of Underworld. That's how you do wire work. That's how you do scenes. That's how you make it look right. When she jumps off that building at the beginning of Underworld, Kate Beckinsale jumps off there, and the falls, boom, she hits the ground and starts walking. Is one of the best scenes I've ever seen for doing something that way. It looks like she just took that hit and walked it off like a vampire would, and it's so fantastic. Now, I know I've gotten off topic here a little bit, but not really. It all ties into the same thing. Now, this overall was a great adaptation, and I hope they continue to do more. Like I say, I hope they learn one thing more than anything else. Forgive my wheezing. I need to get an inhaler. Our weather's been really crappy. But the thing is that this is such an opportunity, and I hope Netflix learns the lesson that this is the way you do it, not the way you did it with Cowboy Bebop. And the sad part is we'll probably never get to see Cowboy Bebop have that opportunity again, because it went so badly wrong. And it is really sad, because it is a tremendous anime. I had another one I would love to see brought to the big screen, brought to the little screen, TV series, whatever, would be Trigun. Trigun is another one of the really, really great animes, but they'd screw it up. But if they do it like they did this, you could do it. And it would be easier to do that kind of a show than One Piece, because there's a lot of heavy effects that they've got to put in, like Buggy and his body separating and doing the fighting and dancing around, which they did a good job with, but you know, the practical effects would look better in a show like Trigun or Cowboy Bebop or whatever, because you're not having to suspend disbelief quite so much. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this review. Go watch One Piece. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. You can tell me if it follows the storyline of the original anime first season and where you thought it separated out. That's not really what I was going after. I wasn't giving you a one-for-one analysis of this. Just happy that I could watch it and not want to stab myself in the eyeballs with a fork. That's what I was excited about. I was excited that I could watch that whole thing and feel like, that's pretty cool. The characters were good. The character, can't think of his name. He's the black kid that's in Luffy's crew. It's Sanjay, it's terrible. Like I said, I wish I was more of a fan, because then I'd have these names down. This is really just more of a point I'm making using One Piece. But he was, I didn't care for his character. He was really obnoxious. Now, I know he's a little obnoxious in the anime. The other thing that bothered me was the kid that wants to be the Marine. His glasses were awful. Now, I know they look similar to how they look in the anime, but see, that's one of the things that you can, when you bring it over, you can change it just enough that it looks more real. That it looks more, there are certain things that when you transfer something from a cartoon version to a real life version, you have to alter them just a little bit, because the glasses were they were distracting for me. Every time that kid was on screen, I was just like, please take those glasses off. I was like, okay, you look like one of those crazy women from the 70s that wear the big, the big sunglasses with diamond sparklies around. I mean, just, I never liked that. I've never liked that style. They could have changed the size of those glasses a little bit more and made that character a little bit better. Also, they needed to go pinker with his hair. I don't know why they didn't, because in the anime he is all pink hair. But I mean, overall, he actually did a pretty good job with that character. Like I said, just some of the look threw me off with him. I thought they needed to alter that just a little bit. Zorro is fantastic. He's a little too, the character plays it a little too straight, I think. The actor plays it a little too straight. But like I say, I can't remember exactly if that's how Zorro's character was in the anime. But there's just, like I say, with a live action version, you can alter a few things to make it to keep that believability factor, without changing the story, without completely altering the character, without completely making everything different. I love the guy that plays the Vice Admiral. Love the guy that plays the cook. That was a pirate. That was the leader of the Cook Pirates. Did a great job. Fantastic. Really good. So there was some really good acting that was done in this. And I was really impressed by a lot of the things that they did. And it was a great show. It really was. Even for somebody like me who's not a massive fan, it gives me hope for future adaptations of other animes and the possibilities of what we could get from Hollywood if they pull their heads out of their butts and stop trying to beat us over the head with, like the drinker says, the message. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed this. I'm not watching Ahsoka. Don't care. Not interested. I liked the Clone Wars. I really did. But I was never interested in Rebels. Rebels looked more like a cartoon. It was right up there for me. When I was a kid growing up, there was the cartoons with the Ewoks, and then cartoon called droids. And there were several cartoons that were made during that time of Star Wars when I was growing up in the 80s, that they did. That they were just cartoons, and like they weren't really meant to be brought over into the world. And that's how I view Rebels. Rebels was just a cartoon that they made that shouldn't have been taken seriously and had that story moved forward on. I never watched it, so why would I watch Ahsoka? Because I'm behind, and from what it sounds like, they didn't do anything to catch everybody up. They just assumed you watched Rebels and carried right on. And sorry, I just don't care. I'm not interested. I loved Ahsoka as a character. I hated her at first, and then she kind of grew on me, and I really liked her because she has a great character arc. She actually goes from an obnoxious little shit to somebody that you actually kind of respect and think that she's a pretty good character. But I don't have any desire to watch Disney desecrate the corpse of Star Wars any further. So I'm not watching. I'm not paying attention to anything Star Wars or Star Trek until the people who are currently in charge of them are gone. And I'm not going to watch videos about like, oh, I think it's crap. No more desecration of that corpse. It's like having somebody open a wound every time. Every time I watch a video based on it, every time I watch a YouTuber talk about how this Star Trek sucks and this one's bad and that one's bad, I'm just like, I can't. I'm so tired of negative. I'm so tired of being negative and feeling negative. I want to make positive stuff, and I want to celebrate people who are making great things and who are trying to be real great creators that are doing something that makes our lives better and makes us happier, because I mean, we need that right now. Because so I haven't gone to the theater in months, maybe even a year, because I just don't care about the stuff they're making. It's just like, why would I go and pay that kind of money to sit in a theater and just want to gouge my eyes out with a fork? No. I don't care. I don't care about it. I just, the writer's strike was the greatest thing that I think ever happened to this country. I wish it would go on forever. That way we would never get any more new crap out of these losers that are currently in charge of Hollywood. Anyway, thanks you guys. And I hope to be on here a little bit more and doing more positive reviews and talking with you about stuff. If you disagree with me on this video, let me know. Just be nice. That's all I ask. But like I said, if you're a fan, that's great. Tell me where I went wrong. Tell me why I should come back to this series. Why One Piece is worth going back to. They're still making it. There are new episodes all the time. And I think, I wish I cared about that. But I mean, I'm watching other stuff that they're doing. I'm watching Jobless Reincarnation. I think it's called Mushu Tenshi. I can't remember how I always slaughter it when they do like a Japanese name and then an English kind of thing. Anyway, I love that one. I think that's great. I'm now watching the new episodes as it comes out. I'm watching the new episodes of Horimiya, The Missing Pieces. I think that's pretty good. I'm not sure why they didn't go forward with the story, or why they went back and started giving us stories that were not told in the original season. I don't feel like they really added anything, but those are fun characters and I like watching them. So I'm watching that. And I'm always looking for new animes. Animes are so good. I love animes. If it wasn't for anime, seriously, I would not have anything that I really wanted to watch except for old shows. That's all I really want to watch. Old shows, old cartoons, and current anime and old anime, because everything else is garbage. Garbage. Anyway, thanks for watching, you guys, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye now.